Well, we got to bounce through this starting grid because 37 cars means it is going to be a full field. And on the pole, it is Carl Stout who begins things with Riley Giacomazzi in second beside him. David Mucil Jr. will start from P3, followed by Matt Seagull in the fourth position. Matt Smith will be your pole sitter in the Masters. He starts fifth overall. Next to him is going to be Todd Treffert. After that, it is Tony Melito starting from seventh, and Jens Hansen in the eighth spot. Blake McGovern will start from ninth as Brandon Hankins then rounds out your top 10, Joey.
Over in 11th is going to be Luke French, followed up with Dave Mucil there in the 12th spot. Matt Dusek in 13th with Bill Fennick rolling off in 14th spot. Chris Hutter in 15th with Elaine Scalzo starting in 16th place. Frank Vitiello starting 17th in that red and white number 248 with Sean Leathers in 18th. Mark Bowden in 19th and Johnson back here in 20th.
Dan Ammon will then be starting from 21st. You've got Patrick Romack to his outside in 22nd. Grady William in the 23rd spot, followed by Javier Ripoll Jr. returning to start 24th. Steve DiPaolo will take the quarter century mark. He'll be flanked by Alessandro Chiacchetti. Keith McGovern starts in 27th and Sean McCaig in 28th. Then it's Eric Lapp on the inside of row 15 and Greg Shermer rounding out that 15th row.
In 31st, we have Neil starting in the 264 car with Cobb next to him in 32nd. Then Gardner from Goldcrest Motorsports driving the 217 is going to be starting in 33rd with Schmitz in 34th. Francisco De Jesus from Top Racing going to be starting in 35th with Monte in 36th. And Groombridge is going to be rounding out our 37-car GT3 Cup field.
It is a lot of cars, but it's the start of the season. Everybody is anxious to get going, as you can see them now lined up 2 by 2. Remember, they are not allowed to break line before they get to the start-finish line. We'll have to watch for that, as somebody already in the Cayman's first race earlier today did get a penalty for that infraction. Those are some beautiful rows going all the way back to 37th position as they come through Sunset Bend, which truly is its sunset today as we get late in the day. They're all ready to go as they wait for the signal from the flag stand here at Sebring International, and there it is. Green flag is out. Stout with a good start, but look at Mucil Jr. He's going to try and attack for that second position over Giacomazzi. Is he going to be able to take him down to the first corner as they all slide in to the fast left-hander? Watching them come out of that turn does look like it is a huge lead for Carl there up at the front as they all jockey for position back into turn 3.
Look to be about single file for the top 3 positions, but then it gets extremely busy. Look at that, pretty much 2 by 2 by 2 from, call it, 8th place on back. But you're right, Stout has done a great job to get out front. Giacomazzi giving chase, and then it gets very, very busy.
Indeed, the 267 of Seagull in a nice little battle with the 214 of Treffert as we got a car in the barrier. That looks to be the 253. That is Michael Cobb, unfortunately, who seems to have found the Armco somewhere. So far, we stay green, but hopefully he can get that car going.
Saw a couple of cars running out wide there, the apex of what is turn number 7, that hairpin corner, and there is that stricken car from a little bit earlier rolling back out onto the racetrack. Hopefully he can get it back around to the paddock. Leave it green flag racing for now, as all of our competitors are trying to muscle and sort out where they fit here on track.
Looked like that may have happened in the turn 3, 4, 5 sequence that the car eventually got going. We'll head through Bishop and into Jean Debienne, and it is mostly single file at this stage now. High-speed section of the circuit, so you kind of need it to be. That is Mucil Sr. there in the Joker-themed car behind the number 203 that he is chasing. And that is Tony Melito, one of our Pro-Am drivers. Oh, and into the inside wall. It's a hard hit. And is that Mucil Sr.? No, it's the 281.
That, unfortunately, is Chris Hutter. He did such a tremendous job in qualifying, but did make impact with that driver's right wall coming out of what is turn number 16. I don't see any heavy fluids or anything coming down onto the racetrack, so I think as long as Chris can limp this car back home, we should be still a green flag.
For a second, I thought that left front was pretty broken, but once he straightened it out, it looked decent. I don't know how well it'll drive, though, as we follow our cars down back through turn 1. Stout leads the way after lap 1, and Matt Smith is currently your leader in the Masters behind him. Following the 240 in the meantime, that is Blake McGovern, currently running 7th overall.
I've talked about it in previous sessions how low grip this entire racetrack is, but where we saw that spin late in the lap there around turn number 16, that is what I like to think is the lowest grip section that we've got here at Sebring. So not surprised to see some of these cars slip sliding around while Yokohamas fully get up to temperature.
Jr. under a little bit of pressure here, but that is from Matt Smith. It won't be for points paying positions. Doesn't want to slip back to Seagull too closely, as Matt is a known fast driver. Mucil 2.0 actually looking way faster this season, I must say. A fantastic transformation, currently running on the podium in the Pro-Am class.
Right now, I'm very impressed with our overall leader, 243. That's Carl Stout. Oh, is a little bit off track here. I believe this is the 274 car, but that was out of what we call turn number 13 over there. So easy to run just a little bit wide. I believe that might have been Matt Smith.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we were riding on board with that 274. Jumping back to the 295 of Brandon Hankins. He's got Luke French all over the back of him, fighting for 7th in class. Looked like a decent exit from French onto the Ullman straight, but as they get up to speed, I don't think he is going to be able to do anything from here. So he backs out of it. We ride on board with Luke now, having switched over from racing in the USA West Series last season, now to North America.
You can see how bumpy turn number 17 really is as the drivers just kind of fight their way over all of the concrete blocks here, and now we dive it down into turn number 1. Let's see what those MPHs are. About 150 miles an hour in 5th gear before Luke French has to jump on the brakes, slow it down to about 90, 95 miles an hour or so, and a little bit of flash of the lights. Here he comes deep on the brakes on Brandon Hankins. Can he get the car stopped? He keeps it on the racetrack. Aggressive move, aggressive pass. Nicely done, Luke French.
But controlled. I am impressed. He didn't look like he overshot that at all. So Luke French knew he had the pace, and he knew he had the brake power. So that's going to move him up a position now into 7th in class. A little bit of a defensive move from the 214 in the meantime, just covering off down the inside as Treffert holds on to 2nd in the Masters, but doesn't want Melito to overtake him because 3rd is right behind. That is Dusek, who sits on the podium in that Masters class, trying to see if he can get within reach of his Pro-Am competitor.
You brought it up on our pace lap, Joe, with Sunset, right? And Sunset Bend and how low everything gets out here. And we can't really see it except for out the back end of Tony Melito's car. But once we get out onto the Ullman straight this time, take notice because the sun is directly in the driver's eyes as they approach that turn 17 brake zone. An incredibly difficult piece of racetrack to master.
Sometimes there's just nothing you can do to fight the glare up into there. And the drivers will just have to deal with it. Everybody's got the same thing, so that's the good news, but also kind of bad news because, well, everybody has to suffer together, unfortunately. Yeah, there you go as we ride on board with Melito, showing you how the sun is right in your eyes and trying to spot your brake marker. You will see those brake lights light up. Look down to the inside just in front of them. Doesn't quite make it in there. I'm trying to see who this is between, as it looks like it is just behind Hankins.
Yeah, I believe this might still be the Melito-Treffert battle that we've been keeping our eye on, and Melito has certainly been ramping up the pressure. I think the one maybe thing that's in the back of these drivers' minds, though, is guess what? We're dealing with Pro-Am class cars and also the Masters class cars. It's not just necessarily a straight fight between these drivers, and so sometimes that brings in a little bit of strategy of, do I need to pass them, or can I take some notes and maybe improve my own racecraft? As I believe that was Melito getting all up over those curves. That was Treffert in the 214.
Yeah, and Hankins finds himself yet again under pressure. Great in qualifying, but struggling a bit early in the race. And also a note as he defends down into turn 7 that the 288 of Keith McGovern was given a drive-through penalty for a start violation. Another driver must have ducked out of line before they reached that start-finish line. So Hankins with Treffert keeping himself clear of Dusek for now. Actually, it might be Scalzo, I think, now currently behind him, because I see Scalzo ahead of Dusek.
I'm going to have to retrain my brain because I don't think it's an orange Cayman in the GT3 Cup cars that Elaine is driving here this weekend. You'd mentioned it a little bit earlier in our qualifying sessions. We have several drivers from the 2025 racing season that were in the Cayman GT4 class just below this make their way up to GT3 Cup here.
Making that step up to a little bit more serious machinery, obviously, and that's the whole point of Porsche's ladder system. This is sort of the introduction that they get, obviously, with Sprint Challenge. If you manage to do a good job here, you can try and compete in Carrera Cup. If you manage to do good in Carrera Cup, you can try to compete in the Super Cup, which at that point you're getting very serious and incredibly skilled. Dan Ammon has been in Sprint Challenge for a few years now. He's got a couple cars directly in front of him. With his experience, will he be able to maybe get a bit sneaky on them? Oh! Contact between the cars. One is going to go around. That may be Melito, I think, that is going wide, that keeps it out of the barriers. But they clipped wheels, and that popped the car into the air. It was hard to control from there.
That was definitely a nervous moment going into turn number 17. I think we briefly saw 3 wide, and that's really where that choke point was. Usually 3 wide going into turn number 17 doesn't work. It's such a high-speed commitment going into the corner. Good to see none of them reach the tire wall.
As we got a pass now between Smith and Seagull. Smith going by initially, but he loses grip mid-corner. Seagull pounces on that, and he is back into position number 4. Smith not having the race that he wanted, as he initially was pressurizing Mucil Jr. for the overall podium. But the good news for Smith is that he is honestly still in the lead easily for that Masters class.
It is a busy race, and I mean, we've only accomplished 10 minutes so far. We still have 25 minutes plus a lap out here, and Carl Stout doing a terrific job out front. Riley Giacomazzi doing the same thing, right? Both of those top 2 stretching it away from Dave Mucil Jr., who's currently in that 3rd place position, and of course, Smith hanging out in that Masters class lead as we continue to watch the 274 versus the 225. A little bit of a peak down the inside of turn 16. Usually we can see that put one car on the back foot, and now it's going to get really busy with a 3rd car trying to find its way through.
That's Hansen and McGovern, and I don't think that's French. I'm trying to figure out who that is suddenly in this battle. Coming up into the braking of Sunset Bend once again. Are we going to get a repeat of last lap? No, we managed to keep out of one another, but it is getting extremely busy. Hansen, McGovern, and I guess Smith as well is in here in this fight.
And it looks like the fight is going to go on into turn number 1 here. Each one of these cars kind of picking a little bit of a clean line to try to get the most air to the front splitter, provided that grip that they need to really tuck the front end. And here we go, another move down into turn 3, but chopped off at apex.
That is McGovern in the 240, so that's who I had mixed up there. But this is Hansen and Smith that are fighting up at the front, forcing Smith to go a bit wide through Le Mans. Jens Hansen is on the attack in a big way, which is good to see, because usually we saw him just cruising at the front in the Caymans. I like him showing that he's not afraid to get in the mix.
And he is one of those drivers, like you said, who was racing those Caymans last year, trying out his racecraft here in these GT3 Cup cars. And I think that if you were leading in those Caymans, winning races like Jens Hansen was, you expect to be towards the front, even when you jump up in classes. And yes, he's currently sitting 5th in that Pro-Am class, trying to get by that car directly in front, even though it's not for class position.
I think he still wants to try and get his way up to Seagull. As we got the 248 now around. This looks to be turn 7. That's Frank Vitiello.
And then here is, I believe this is what looks to be the 221 on the racetrack as well. This looks to be in a different area of the racetrack. So we have 2 separate incidents going on.
As to Jesus in turn 5. Well, yeah, that's definitely 2 separate incidents because Vitiello was down in turn 7. But it is proving to be a little bit chaotic here in the first half of this race. Drivers will need to try and calm down. It is sprint challenge, but you got to get to the checkered flag.
Yes, you do. But trust me, these drivers, they want to go out there and race. I believe this is Dan Am in the white car in the middle of the sandwich here as we jump up to side by side here on the front straightaway. Room be given. That's a little bit more of what we like to see.
Over Mucil Jr. down through turn 1. Seagull finds himself up a position now and needs to set off by about 4 seconds to chase down Giacomazzi, who has not been able to catch Stout. We haven't looked at the leaders in a while, but they've separated, so it's been kind of calm up at the front compared to what we've been seeing. And look at Seagull go ultra defensive down into 7.
Feels that once he made the pass, that other car was still right there, could potentially make that rebound. And now once they exited turn number 7, certainly seems like Seagull has the upper hand. And then, oh my goodness, Smith and Jens Hansen right on the back bumper. He's that darker green on the highlights. They're both black colored cars, but kind of have the yellow day glow highlights on Smith's car with more of the green highlights on Jens Hansen.
Yeah, of course.
They're both pretty similar, aren't they?
Well, I was going to say, the yellow and green, we have to remember, that is for the classes. The yellow is the Masters, so if you're wanting for a quick way to identify, and if you see the green accents on the rear wing, that is for the Pro-Am. So as you mentioned, it's for 2 different classes. They got to watch out because they still got McGovern and French. And, man, French has been on a great charge here. Has worked his way up. There was another look to the inside, and we've seen this story before. Gets him off the racing line, now is able to look down to the inside, and it's a drag race to Sunset Bend.
And we'll see which side Luke French decides to go with. That's Jens Hansen on the inside. Remember, it was the outside line that powered up around him that last attempt, but it certainly seems like going into the brake zone this time, Jens Hansen has cleared his competitor. Now he's going to look forward out of his windshield and try to drive away.
Smith has just, I don't think he's had any relief since the start of this race. Unfortunately for him, it has been trending a bit backwards. Treffert is still 4 cars behind Smith. So Matt's still not in a bad position. He still leads his class. We need to stress that. But he's been losing bit by bit to where if it keeps up, Treffert is going to eventually be the next car in line.
Correct. And remember, we kind of had a similar situation in the Cayman, and you said, hey, should you let a few cars behind? And I said, no, right? There's too many other class cars directly behind. But I do think that Matt Smith is in a little bit of a different position. However, asking a racing car driver to let others by, it's no easy feat.
Certainly not. Looks like Nicholas Groombridge getting overtaken potentially. This is down into Sunset Bend. Behind them also, side-by-side battle with a more shallower line. The red machine to the inside almost gets it done. Can't quite seem to get the job through. And as they head towards turn 1, he's going to be on the outside, but he breaks deep.
I believe this is Vitiello versus Schmitz up here, because remember that red and white number 248 had that little bit of a spin that we saw a few minutes ago down there at turn number 7. So I think that Frank, now that he's right back on the racing line, trying to make up some of that ground that was lost.
There's one down. Still got a few more to go, though, because he was definitely stationary for a while. But it's glad to see him not giving up on this one. Next on his list is going to be Groombridge there. And already, he is looking from a long ways back. Confidence under braking. Does he get it woed up? He does. And there's number 2 in 1 lap. Frank is not letting up.
I don't think that he is going to let up for a while. His fastest lap is significantly faster than several of the cars directly in front of him. So I'm sure that he is going to be on a mission here for the next 17 minutes plus a lap.
We have a penalty for the 227 of Joel Johnson. Unfortunately, he's already behind the wall, so he will not be able to serve that. It was going to be a stop plus 30 seconds for incident responsibility. Riding on board with Frank the Tank now. Who else can he manage to plow over?
I think directly in front of Vitiello right here is the 228. And I'm curious, that last lap by Frank was a 213.8, while that 228 was a 215.0. And I actually think that this lap is going to be even faster from this car that we're riding on board with now. So, I mean, what, maybe turn number 1 he's going to catch this car.
Well, let's see. He's got to get there. Ooh. And once again, Jens Hansen has got some fun. No, excuse me, that's still Smith once again. It's McGovern behind him. French could have a good opportunity here because it looks like Blake is going to be a bit distracted by Smith.
Yeah, that's Blake McGovern there in that number 240 car, really starting to apply some of that pressure to Matt Smith up in front here. But I want to give credit to Matt Smith because it is not easy to drive under the situation that he has been under for the last 20 minutes. When you're out there in a race car all by yourself, you're attacking the apexes, you're attacking the brake markers. However, Matt Smith is doing all that, plus he's having to look in the rear view mirror. He's got cars diving down the inside, always looking around to try to make that pass, and it is no easy feat to concentrate on your markers and still perform.
So far, so good up against McGovern. McGovern has no doubt been watching those in front of him who've managed to get the pass done, taking his own few notes. He gets what looks like a pretty good exit in comparison, but as we switch angles, it doesn't look like that momentum is there as much as I thought. They all stay equidistant on their way down to Sunset Bend once again.
See those flags still blowing in the paddock down here. It is a tailwind for these drivers going down the Ullman Straight towards turn number 17, and then once they flip directions here on the front straightaway, they're dealing with just a slight headwind here. So more top speed into turn 17, a little bit less top speed going into turn number 1 maybe allows the drivers to be a little bit more aggressive on the entry.
I saw French flashing his headlights. He wants to try and do what he can to get by the 240. That's a message, hey, you better get by him or I'm overtaking you first. In the meantime, we have 15 minutes plus a lap left to go. We're already halfway through this race, much better at a turn 5. He manages to get side by side, but McGovern has the inside in a big bend, and it looks like French had to back out.
That's an interesting place to kind of get that huge run of steam. I wonder if McGovern just kind of bobbled a little bit on that turn 5 exit. Luke French going to take it all the way up to the door on the outside of turn number 7. Then you see him slot back in line, just no long way around that hairpin, but now he is in the draft. He's in the slipstream. See if he opts to pop out drivers right going into turn number 10. How deep does he take it on the brakes? Confident. Look at that brake pedal pressure. A little bit of correction. And around he goes, spinning it off into the grass.
Sand and dirt being kicked into the air. It was good until it wasn't. Multiple cars going by before he can return to the circuit. Finally, as he has to, carefully get back, because now there are more cars coming. Eventually, it looks like he should be able to get going since he didn't hit anything in the process. Unfortunate, because that was a great race up to that point from French. The 234 versus the 267. The 267 goes for quite a ride, gets the rally version of the 911 Cup, and unfortunately loses a spot.
I think we saw one of those rally versions out at Apex Motor Club sitting in the paddock, but no, we are racing the Cup cars here. You want to keep it on the pavement. Look at this sun getting lower and lower in the driver's eyes. This is for Tony Melito here, this 203 car. Now we're going to jump over to Francisco de Jesus. This is coming up to the turn 7 section on the racetrack. And Joe, even here, we got a little bit of glare for the drivers to deal with.
Yeah, that doesn't look terribly fun right now, especially considering the braking that you have to hit right here into the hairpin. So that 267 that we've returned to, that was Seagull, who was trying to get the spot back from Mucil Jr., was unable to do so. But now it's gotten even more complicated because I believe that is Hansen that has caught the back of them.
I don't think yet, but he will be there soon, I think so.
Is that a lapped car?
That
is a lapped car, yeah.
That's the 267 Matt Seagull, and then, yes, correct, the 231 is Mucil Jr. 2.0 directly in front of him, and then Jens Hansen's going to be about, call it 2 seconds back, maybe 3 seconds back. However, the point I was going to make, the 207 from Jens.
Lapped car between them. Hansen is the darker colored machine. Just trying to see the number on that lighter one. The sun also doing horrors for us trying to identify machines.
Well, and the cars are so gosh dang fast.
that doesn't help either. But this has turned into quite the fight between Seagull and Mucil 2.0. It looks like Seagull is not letting him run away with this one. Unfortunately for them, if they hoped for more than this third place, they've been left in the dust by Giacomazzi and Stout.
But let's play up this battle, because this is a huge battle, and guess what? It is for the last podium position, right? Mucil Jr. currently holds that third place in Pro-Am, and Seagull, he's right on the bumper. He's trying to take it away. He wants some hardware today.
I saw a wobble out of David on turn number 16. I think that has compromised his exit speed, and as they approach the braking, he's going to defend the inside voraciously, but that means he's going to send it in deep and open up the door down to the inside, but it is extra bumpy on that shallower line, and that prevents Seagull from getting the pass done. The defense worked this time.
I love this drone shot overhead. Look at the track going into turn number 1. Look at all those brake markers, the compression there. That shows you how bumpy this circuit is. It's not just those solid strips of black lines. It is the cars compressing over each one of those bumps.
That's a good point. Yeah, really illustrates just how much they're dealing with as the car tries to find grip as it slows down for the corners. Much more tidy through turn 5 from Seagull once again. Seems to be a little bit stronger through that section.
And they did pick up their lap times again, a 2:08.0 from both of these competitors, and Seagull takes a look down to the inside, back onto the racing line. Let's see him feign right back onto the bumper here. Mucil 2.0, a little bit of a poor exit squeeze, and Seagull to the right side. Seagull had to lift off of the gas there.
That's an unfortunate aspect of turn 7 as it kind of weaves back and forth like that. You can definitely pinch a competitor if you just fade across, and that seems to be working well for Mucil. Seagull's still right with him. He didn't lose too much ground having to lift out of it. We've seen him get so close in a couple spots throughout the lap. 10 minutes plus 1 lap to go, and we have an almighty fight for third.
Seagull is just on top of these corner exits. Every single power down phase, he is right there on the bumper of Mucil, but give credit to the 231. Credit is due. He has yet to make a big mistake and let Seagull through. This is that tricky turn 16, solo grip. Concentrate on putting the power down, and look at that, Mucil, excellent corner.
He learned from last time around. That is way better for him and has so much more room to breathe. Look at the distance between the two as we jump over to the drone shot. So yeah, I'd say he can really focus forward this time in the Sunset Bend. So down to less than 10 minutes plus a lap to go. Worth mentioning that Smith still leads down in the Masters class. How about Elaine Scalzo sitting second and Todd Treffert in third? Luke French recovering from a mistake earlier on. This is Ripple Jr. So this is 4-class position, and it looks like with the inside, he should have this one done down into Sunset Bend. Javier will fight him for it briefly, but he doesn't have the grip.
Yeah, and got to watch that second car. That second car actually slipped down to the apex and also took away the position. So unfortunately, slipping back 2 spots there at the entry of turn number 17.
So that puts French back into 16th overall, but he is 9th in the Pro-Am class. Sadly, he has a lot of Masters vehicles between himself and the next one, Brandon Hankins, who sits in 8th. So he'll have to pass a lot more cars before he even gets any more points from those overtakes. I'm not sure that he's got enough time left in this race to do so. Looks like the fights have settled, at least for the time being. because it certainly was frantic for quite a while. It's getting relatively dark, at least from some of our camera shots here.
It definitely is, and I think that Dan Ammon might be dealing with the car directly on his back bumper in the form of Willingham as we jump back up here to the 2:43, our overall leader. What a great job. I mean, 7.5 seconds. I honestly haven't checked in on it in a little while because we've been so focused on the mid-pack battles, and Riley Giacomazzi was doing such a terrific job earlier on in the race, really to keep pace with Carl Stout up here, and ever since it seems like Stout has grabbed another gear.
It's been incredible to watch. This Kelly Moss car was so good in qualifying, and then into the race, seems like not much is able to stop it. So the question might be who can return tomorrow, maybe pick up a few notes and put a little bit more pressure on, because it's 8 seconds clear to Riley Giacomazzi, who I do want to give a lot of credit to, has come in as a new face here in the Cup Series and is on it from the word go.
It'll be interesting because just watching him throughout the years, see how he develops. Oh, a little bit of a bobble there. Coming out of turn number 5, I believe that was De Jesus letting one of the cars by. But I was going to say it'll be really interesting to watch Giacomazzi develop through the year with how little racing experience that he's got leading into the season. For him to already be at the sharp end of the field, I can't wait to see what that progression will be like.
Just occurred to me that I noticed on the pillar of Stout's car, he has the German flag, but he's running an American flag-themed car. So I'm getting mixed messages here coming from Carl. He, regardless, does not care about that. He cares about continuing to hit those marks each and every corner. And, of course, as he comes upon that lap traffic, managing to deal with it safely and quickly. But I actually need to check to see what our track map looks like to see if he's going to have much more.
And just kind of putting some lap times out there. So Stout qualified pole position for this race with a 2:05.1. The last time by, a 2:06.7. So call it about 1.5 seconds off of the fastest time that he was able to put down in qualifying. However, that 2:06.7, I looked throughout our entire field, there is not another single car in 2:06s.
Wow. There's maybe 2 or 3 more cars that he may have to lap before this is over. There's one of them right there. So hopefully there won't be dramas that come out of it. They will see him coming and will allow him through safely as they head into that headwind now on the main straight. And indeed, the 253 just kind of pulling off to the side and lifting slightly to allow Stout through into turn 1. Smith looking pretty safe over Scalzo, and Scalzo, I'm seeing, it looks like probably has roughly 3 seconds over the next car, so he must be in a good spot. Yeah, 3.7 seconds, no, 2.5, excuse me, over Todd Treffert right now. So unless Todd finds another gear, I think Elaine's got that one covered.
Yeah, and just kind of talking about Scalzo, since you had mentioned, he's found a nice little piece of racetrack. He is second in that Masters class, but to your point, he doesn't really have pressure from behind. Treffert is, that 2+ seconds back, and he's also got Brandon Hankins about 2+ seconds in front of him. So he's found a nice little piece of racetrack, and all Scalzo needs to do to pick up some hardware at the end of this one is keep it on the racetrack and keep it consistent.
Got to say, it was a pretty good one for Jens Hansen, even though it's not looking like a podium. He started in 8th. He's looking at finishing in 5th. And when you get to the sharp end of the field, it's always a lot harder to try and make those passes. So that's a pretty good gain up against the talent that we've got out here. Continuing to follow the 243, getting him some screen time and some love, since so much action was throughout the rest of the pack up to this point. And it does look like everything we've seen of this car, other than maybe one bobble that you mentioned, it doesn't seem like it's out of sorts, that the handling is bad. It just is steady as she goes.
Doing terrific laps. I mean, I mentioned 2:06 the last time by. Well, guess what? This time by as well, a 2:06.7. I'll give you a report as soon as Stout crosses the line. But only car in the 206s, and I'm going down through, I see maybe 3 or 4 cars in the 207s. I'm going to echo what you said about Jens Hansen doing a terrific job starting way back there in 8th place and moving his way up inside the top 5, and he's actually currently doing lap times that are comparable with the top 3.
I want to give a shout to Matt Smith, too. Just set his personal best of the race last lap at a 2:07.7. Remember, we kind of saw him struggling a little bit earlier as he kept getting overtaken by the Pro-Am cars, but has stopped it since. He hasn't been overtaken by anybody in a while. He still has McGovern close behind by about half a second, so that could change. And McGovern is following his pattern, as both of them set personal best last time by, and they're within about 0.3 of one another.
I mean, the fastest car on the racetrack right now is actually just a couple seconds back from that battle you just talked about. Tony Melito, holy smokes, a 2:07.00 that last time by. Like I said, fastest car on the racetrack, currently P8 overall.
He seemed to have lost the 210. That's Grady Willingham. We don't have information on what has brought the car behind the wall, but they have taken it to the garage to get worked on from here. Sad to see he won't get to the checkered flag, which is going to be coming pretty soon. If you're not familiar with how it works in Sprint Challenge, when it says +1 lap, we hit 0 on the clock first, then you get the white flag after that.
Should be basically 2.5 laps left remaining here for our leader, just making his way through his turn 14 on the racetrack and up to slippery turn 15 and 16. I see what you're pointing at over here. Certainly seems like that Seagull Mucil Jr. fight is far from over.
Yeah, it was within a quarter of a second, and we know how fierce they were fighting before. That's going to be fun to watch. And yep, there we go. They are right here. In fact, for a second, that angle almost made it look like Mucil was going to try for the inside, but trick of the eye. What about coming off of turn 16? Does he have the run to try attack? Doesn't seem to be the case. We do know he made a mistake there earlier, and that put him under pressure. Has he overcome those demons? Can he use it to instead attack to finish on the podium?
Just trying to analyze this battle, it's interesting to see one car, start up front and then maybe bleed a few positions and then really make a late race charge. You got to wonder if maybe the car setup needs to come in just a little bit sooner. But if you ask me, I'd rather have the fastest car at the checkered flag when it all ends, and that's exactly what Mucil has right now. It certainly seems like the handling has come back to him, and now he can go back and attack Seagull, who was at one point faster.
Yeah. There's not much between them in the first place, so any little edge that you can have could certainly come in handy. But for Mucil 2.0, he's got to make the pass. He must have had a bad exit because he suddenly disappeared from the shot there coming out of turn 5, and look at him get left behind.
Certainly seems like Seagull is back on it. I wonder if maybe there was a little bit of an oddity in one of those laps, and here we are hitting quadruple zeros on the board, so our leader this next time by, once he reaches start finish, will be getting that 1 lap to go sign.
Now earlier I mentioned that Hansen may have been catching up, and last lap looks like he did not catch them, but he is within about 1.5 seconds. We've been seeing it in some of the shots, so they do have to watch out. Mucil might want the 3rd place back, but he has to make sure he doesn't lose 4th, as well as we once again turn to the 243. Leading this race has since the beginning, and Carl Stout is looking quite like his namesake, just impenetrable up at the front.
It's been so consistent lap after lap after lap. That last one was a 206.3. That's even faster than what he has been going a little bit earlier in the race. And you got to think that fuel load has finally burned off of these cars. Here we go. Start finish. White flag is out. 1 more lap for Carl Stout.
Puts a lap car behind him once again as Steven Schmitz gets out of the way of our leader. Coming round turn 1. Look at the bumps on the car, though, as it almost looked a little out of sorts, but he keeps it in the right direction.
I love to see that. That means the driver is at the absolute limit, and if he's comfortable at the absolute limit, watching it around Sebring, I mean, there's points at this racetrack where not even a single tire is on the ground, Joe.
Yeah, and I mean, credit to Porsche for building an amazing car, too. You can see that thing bouncing around, and yet he still is able to easily hold onto it and push the way he has with just half a lap to go now at this stage. Giacomazzi 12 seconds behind him. This has been a clinic by Carl.
He, like I said, he found another gear, about 10 minutes into this thing, and ever since he has yet to look back. I had mentioned those lap times. Last time by went from a 206.3 up to a 206.5. Still the only car turning 2 minute 6 lap times here at Sebring towards the end of this race, and now he's looking at the final sector, number 3.
Love what we're seeing from Carl Stout. He's another one that is new to the Sprint Challenge and has clearly shown himself to be the man to beat today as he exits out of Le Mans onto Sunset Bend. The sun has gone far enough down that I don't think it's really in the eyes anymore. We've seen the headlights cutting through the dimming of the light here today, but it is going to cut across the start-finish line in just a moment from Carl Stout as he'll lead from lights to flag here for race 1 of the GT3 Cup. And he gets to take a victory at a classic venue here at Sebring International Raceway to take the win.
Perfectly executed. Wonderful job from that entire Kelly Moss team. And now we're looking for Riley Giacomazzi, who's going to be crossing the line momentarily with his first Pro-Am second place.
Wonderfully done, as there he goes. Seagull even farther back there in third, but another driver that had to work for it. There he is coming across the line. Mucil gained on him just a bit, but not enough to take fourth. Hansen in fifth. And how about Matt Smith? He had a struggle on his hands today, but he withstood it all and takes the win in Masters.
Wonderful job, and I think here comes Elaine Scalzo to claim second in that Masters class, as well as Todd Treffert standing on the podium as well in third.
Now they start to flood across the line. 37 cars. Not all of them going to take that checkered flag, unfortunately, from here, as it looks like we have lost Lapp, Johnson, and Willingham. McGovern might be our last one to be able to complete today's race, as most of them now come across. We're halfway through the field up to Shane Leathers, coming home 20th overall himself over Neil and DePaulo. Chris Hutter, after initial contact with the wall, manages to bring it home to 23rd. Impressive.
I think that's a testament to how strong these race cars are. I mean, we saw that thing take a header into the driver's right concrete wall, and Chris Hutter simply backed that thing out, continued it on, finished this race.
All right, so I think we've got most of them across. Let's run you through our finishing order. Carl Stout, your winner, with Giacomazzi finishing in second, Seagull in third. That's your Pro-Am podium. Mucil Jr. was fourth as Hansen finished in fifth. Then you get to your winner in the Masters, Matt Smith. Blake McGovern finished sixth in his class. Just behind him, it was Melito in seventh and Hankins in eighth. Scalzo finished in second in the Masters after that, with Treffert in third for the Masters. Now we'll go to the overall finishing positions, as it was Fenech in 12th, Mucil in 13th, and French 14th. Bowden P15, Womack in 16th, and Dusek 17th. Rippel Jr. P18, and Ammon 19th. Sean Leathers rounding out your top 20. Neil was 21st, Paolo 22nd, and Chris Hutter 23rd. Chiacchetti P24, Gardner 25th, and Vitiello 26th. Shermer 27th, Monti and Jesus, McCabe, and McGovern rounding them out.
We're here with Dr. Dmitrievsky, or Dr. D as he's known. Now, this is a huge step up for USAC road racing in 2026.
Yeah.
Having a live doctor on site, can you give us maybe some of your roles and responsibilities for the weekend?
Yeah, so my primary role here is, as the medical officer here, is I integrate with our safety officer, who is Carla Brown. And what we do before we even arrive, several weeks, months even before we arrive, we reach out to the local safety team if there's going to be a physician or a medical center on site, and we coordinate. We plan for on-track procedures. We plan to see where our nearest level 1 trauma center or level 2 trauma center is, where our nearest burn facility is, and then where the nearest hospital is for non-urgent, non-traumatic injuries. And we know that once we have that in place, we have a definitive plan in terms of any injury where we're going to go. The other thing that we really want to do here is, we don't have an entire safety team that we travel with. It's myself, Carla's up in race control as safety, I'm on track as the physician. So we want to incorporate with the local safety team. So what we do here is Carla has coordinated a fantastic PowerPoint presentation and videos that we share in terms of how to access the vehicles, safety features, extrication features the cars have. We do a walkthrough with the team. We do an extrication exercise with the team. So this is all something we do before we even go on track. Once we're on track, I have a race control radio. I have the local dispatch radio. And if there's an incident on track, the process goes like this. Safety vehicles will be deployed onto the course. If the driver's uninjured, I will come in the med car. I will pick them up. I will bring them back here to our designated area where I will do a thorough physical exam. And if they're uninjured, they'll be cleared to resume to racing. Now, if we have an injury, depending on what the injury is, that's a different story. If they can walk and get in the medical car, we'll take them in the medical car. I'll bring them back here. I'll assess them. And if it's something that I can treat with the equipment and the medications I have here, I will do so. If not, then we will transport them out. And we always have to be prepared for worst case scenario. And if that happens, we have a plan in place where we will do a rapid assessment, call the ambulance on scene, stabilize, and then either it'll be a ground transport or we'll just go next door to the airport and they'll fly out. So now, with that said, I'm not just the physician between the guardrails, flag to flag. I'm here the proverbial 24/7. Maybe not 365, but at least for the race weekend. So anybody that has any kind of ailment, issue, sprain your ankle, I'm here for that as well.
And you're new for 2026 here with USAC,
yes.
But where else have you worked and what kind of knowledge do you bring to this paddock?
So I have quite a bit of motorsports experience. Motorsports is something that I've been passionate for since I was this high. So as long as I've been a doctor, I've been passionate about motorsports even longer. So the fact that I can marry the two is fantastic. So my day job, I am emergency medicine trained and boarded. I'm an ER physician and I work at the big level 1 trauma center in Detroit, which is also a burn center. And then in terms of what I do motorsports wise, I first started off as one of the physicians for the Detroit Grand Prix. I eventually became the deputy medical director, and for the last 10 years now, I have been medical director for the Detroit Grand Prix. With that, I also serve as chief medical officer for SRO Motorsports America, and I've been doing that going on 10 years now. I also have, on various different occasions, worked other venues. I've worked F1 Montreal, I've worked Honda Indy Toronto, I've worked Indy Iowa Speedway. I've done events at home back at Michigan International Speedway with NASCAR. And then outside of that, I also serve on the International Council of Motorsport Sciences. I'm the vice chair. And with that, what we do, yearly we have an annual congress where we do a scientific assembly just on motorsports safety and motorsports medicine. So I keep myself busy with motorsports year round.
Well, it's awesome to have you here in the paddock for 2026. And my last real question for you is, could you maybe take us through a step-by-step? Where are you stationed out there? And when you get that call,
Yep.
What are those processes and maybe possibly some of the equipment that you need to use?
Absolutely. So where we stage is we stage at pit out. The med card myself will stage at pit out, which is right by turn 1 there. I stay there, I listen. Once they give me the call, I go. I try to, the big thing I listen for is what side is the wreck on. I get to that side of the track. I try to stay off the racing line, go as fast as I safely can, and I get to the scene. Once I get on scene, if they're stable, no problem. They hop in the car and we'll come here for a quick exam and I'll show where that's at. However, if they're unstable in any capacity and whatever that be, maybe they're injured and they need a splint, and maybe they God forbid, have stopped breathing, then you need assistance breathing. They've had a cardiac event. If you come to the back of the car here, I have equipment with me that I can show you. I carry this with me all the time. This is my advanced jump bag, and in here I have all kinds of equipment that I need. Anything from stabilizing a fracture to helping take a helmet off to helping the patient breathe or the driver breathe if they're not breathing. Also here we have an AED because you never know. So we want to have all the equipment that I need. And believe it or not, it's all packed in this bag and hopefully never necessary. Now, if the driver is so injured that there's no benefit coming here, that we need to go right for the medical center or the trauma center, then we will call an ambulance on scene, and I will make a decision on scene whether we're going to either go by ground or we're going to go by air. Now, a vast majority of the time, and this is what I always hope for when I go out on track, is they're uninjured and they're going to come back over here to get a medical clearance and screening to be cleared to resume the race activities, and that's right this way. Once the driver is back with me, we come in here into our trailer. They have.
Welcome back to Sebring and coverage of the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America GT3 Cup Series. Let's head down to the podium celebrations with Joe Peak.
All right, it's time for podium ceremonies once again here for the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America 992 GT3 Cup. We've got the 992 Masters to kick us off. Finishing in third today, driving the 214, it's Todd Treffert. Jump up for Caymans and hitting a podium at his first try. Second goes to the 222 of Elaine Scalzo. And our winner today, Masters, is the driver of the 274, Matt Smith. Let's talk to Todd first here. Todd, you've got ourselves an interesting battle out there because you guys had so many of the Pro-Ams around you, and yet you still had Elaine close. How do you handle that dynamic?
Well, obviously, I didn't handle it very well. Coming into 17 there in the start, just kind of lost it there and had to go off and rejoin quite a ways back. So not a great start for me.
Understandable, but you do have tomorrow to try and go through it again. We've got Scalzo here finishing in second. Elaine, you jump up from the Caymans. How's that transition feel? Was it easy?
No, the field is more competitive, I think. But the car is so awesome to drive. So, yeah, yes and no, I would say. I would like to say hi to my kids at home, my friends, and my girlfriend, Catherine.
Great stuff. You got to get the Scott Pruitt in there. So as we switch over to our winner, Matt, again, you were someone that had so many of those Pro-Ams around you. You were trying to manage all of that. Did you ever feel uncomfortable in your lead, or was it all pretty secure in your head?
Oh, no, it was definitely choppy. It was a hectic start. Had to sort myself out with the Pro-Ams, and finally got settled into a good groove.
We noticed that at first you were kind of attacking Dave Mucil 2.0 for the overall podium, and then you fell back a little bit. Was the car set up a little bit better at the start of the race, or what happened?
No, I actually I had almost an off and backed it out for a second, caught myself back up, and then started to charge again.
Well, you find yourself now kicking things off with the win. How do you attack tomorrow, or is there anything that you feel like you would change?
No, at this point, I think we're in good shape, and just want to thank my team, ACI, Coach Yves Baltas, very much for a great car.
Well, great work out there. That's your winner and your podium here for the Masters. Let's hold up that hardware. And if you could swap hats, please. No champagne yet. No champagne yet. No champagne yet. Okay. Well, we'll need to swap hats before you guys leave. We got to swap hats and hold up our... just trophies. Sorry. We'll hold up the trophies. Thank you so much. We got a little out of order, but we got it done. Congratulations once again to our Masters Podium finishers. Up next is the Good Boy Vodka Fastest Lap Award. Today, no surprise on that one. Dominating at the front, it goes to the 243 of Carl Stout. Congratulations to Carl. That's the Good Boy Vodka Fastest Lap Award. Now it's time for our 992 Pro-Am Podium. Finishing in third today, driving the 267, Matthew Seagull. In second, driving the 296, it's Riley Giacomazzi. And your winner today, with an impressive margin up at the front, it's the 243 of Carl Stout. Let's talk to Matt about his third place finish. Matt, we've watched you come from a driver who just showed up for his home track to now competing regularly and getting podiums. Do you feel like this is a solid progression?
Yeah, definitely, I would say so. I couldn't do it without my team, my parents for the support. But, yeah, having the right coach, thanks to Sloan, yeah, the progression's been great.
It's been fun to watch. Congratulations on third here today in the North America Series. Meanwhile, Riley, we've heard that you've had a great story as well, coming up from sweeping floors to get to race cars on the track. How does it feel to be up on the podium?
It's different than sweeping floors for sure. It's very happy to be here. Got a lot of people to thank, so it's been good.
Well, who helped get you here?
Bob, competition, May, the whole team, parents, of course. A lot of people to thank.
Well, we've enjoyed getting to see you as well have awesome results. And then, of course, we have to thank Carl. My goodness, you made it look like it was a Sunday drive out there. Did it feel like that up front?
It was pretty easy going. I just tried to manage the tires because obviously they'll wear off quite a bit in a 35-minute race. But yeah, just amazing car. Thanks to everyone over at Kelly Moss for giving me the amazing car. So that's all I want to say.
You also started this race with the sun very much in your eyes in a couple spots. How blinding was that? Did it make it difficult?
It was definitely tricky in some spots, but I managed to just get my visor low enough so that I could block out the sun.
Well, is tomorrow going to be more than 12 seconds, or do you think these guys are going to chase you down?
I'll see how it ends up tomorrow. It should be a lot hotter tomorrow than it was right now, so it should be interesting for sure.
Well, amazing job. We were all wowed by your speed. Congratulations to our podium finishers in the Pro-Am. Hold up those trophies high. All right, if we could swap the hats and then pick up the trophies afterwards, not the champagne. And now, if you would like to, you can spray a little champagne! Congratulations to our finishers here in the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America Series. We'll be back tomorrow morning with Race 2, both with the Caymans and GT3 Cup, so tune in.